This is my first time trying out videotaping at home, and my husband is helping me, so he is my cameraman. And everyone, since we've gone into shelter in place, have been sending me emails asking me for dishes using up stuff in their pantry, and I was like, well, everybody's pantry is a little different. However, I did remember that I have this dish that was actually on my menu for my vegan class that's supposed to be happening at Civic Kitchen, which has been postponed, called, the dish is called Tiga Diga Na. It's a great name. It's a West African peanut butter vegetable, you can put chicken in it if you want to, dish, and we are going to use up the vegetables that I have in my fridge. So just looking at all the ingredients that I have, so when the shelter in place order came, I went and bought vegetables because that's what I really wanted to have. I have beans and rice and stuff, and I picked root vegetables or firm vegetables that we're going to keep, so that I had plenty of time to use them up. So we have some cauliflower, which is looking a little worse for wear, but I'm going to show you how to fix that. We've got carrots, I have some beets, green beans, cabbage, and then some herbs from the garden. And then in my pantry, I had chopped roast tomatoes, peanut butter, and some dried shiitake mushrooms. I don't have very many, but I thought they would give it a nice umami flavor. So I have those. And the first thing I did was make some vegetable stock, because I did a practice run yesterday and I had lots of peelings left over. So it was a rather sad piece of celery, but also some onions, including the skins. You can see there's some onion skins there, peelings from carrots, the leaves from the celery, and I had some ends of some herbs, and I just simmered them for about half an hour. And so now I have a nice vegetable stock. If you don't have a vegetable stock at home, you can use water, or you can go buy one if you're at the store. So a quick way of getting it out is to put a sieve in like so. And we're going to need about 3 cups eventually. But I'll start with this ladle. Actually, if you're doing a lot of cooking at home, it's good to get one that has a measure. This is 6 ounces. So I know that three-ish will give me 2 cups of vegetable stock. I'm going to need a little bit more later, so I'm going to put this off to one side. And now I'm going to start getting the vegetables ready. So we're going to start with an onion. Every dish seems to start with an onion. And those are one of the things I did stockpile because I can't cook without onions. So I bought a bunch of onions and they keep really well. So easiest way, we're going to slice the onion. So I cut the top off. I cut the onion in half. And then I have a really easy way of peeling my onion. So I can grab it with my hand like so. And all of these peels, if they're clean, I usually give them a rinse, but if they're moldy, don't use them, but you can put those into your vegetable stock. The skin is pretty tight on this guy. There we go. Skin off, and then clean off your board, cut off the root end like so, and then I'm going to slice with the lines on the onions, and slice like so. Oops. And then slice the other one. Oops, watch out for pieces of skin. I usually clean that all off first before I start chopping, but put some off to one side. And you can see how I flip the onion over part of the way through. If you don't have onions, leeks would work really well. Even just green onions will be fine. I'm going to put this in my compost. And now we're going to come over to the pot and put a little bit of olive oil in. You could use any oil. I'm guessing in the traditional Malian stew they would use peanut oil because that's one of their staples. We're going to use onions, so a little Dutch oven, and going to add in the onions. I heat the oil a little bit, probably would have done a little bit more, and I'm going to sprinkle in a tiny bit of salt. So I like to salt as I go along. And that's on a medium-high heat, and we'll let that keep cooking while we start getting the other vegetables ready. And if you're close, you can kind of keep an eye on it, but listen and smell, as I tell my students. You can usually hear that the onions are starting to sizzle. And that will be a sign that you need to go take care of them. The next thing we're going to do is take care of the carrots and the beets. This is a golden beet. And for the golden beet, I'll cut either end off. If it's a nice fresh beet from the farmer's market, I generally don't peel it, but this I will, because it's been in my fridge a little longer and it was not a very tender young beet to start with. And same thing with carrots. If I buy them at the farmer's market and they have a really delicate skin, I throw the whole thing in because it has lots more flavor. However, when I'm finished with this, I should have put the onion skins in a bowl, and those can go to make the next round of stock. So this carrot looks nice and clean, so I think I'm just going to leave the skin on that one. So I'm going to cut the ends off, and let's do a bit better job on that beet. It's kind of a shame to get rid of that nice orange outer skin, but there we go. Cut the ends off the carrots, and then you want to cut the vegetables in the right, even sizes. So I'm using rutabagas and carrots, because I keep saying rutabagas, golden beets, but you could use rutabagas, you could use parsnips, celery root, what else? Turnips, those little tiny Tokyo turnips would be great. But anything that's a hard vegetable for this first round. So things that will take a while. Fennel would be another really nice thing to have in it. And kind of bite-sized pieces. That way it doesn't take too long to cook. And we're going to take a look at our onions. I'm starting to hear them sizzle. So I'm just going to take a quick look at them. Stir them around, make sure they're nicely coated in oil. You notice that I didn't measure the olive oil, partly because I have plenty of experience. I know roughly how much oil is a tablespoon, but you can tell they're nice and shiny, they don't look dry, so that's probably enough oil. If it looked dry, I'd add in a little bit more olive oil. Adds great flavor. So, as I say, other oils you could use, peanut oil, grapeseed oil. I tend to avoid things like canola and safflower because those oils have been processed. Chris is helping me with the vocabulary. The other thing that I'm going to add into this is a little bit of, probably if I had cilantro, I would chop up cilantro because that's more like what we're supposed to have in this stew, but I only have parsley in the garden, so I'm going to pick the leaves off and I'm going to save the stems, and I'm going to, the leaves we're going to use as a garnish at the very end, but the stems I'm going to take along with some thyme from the garden, and whoops, I'm going to go off camera for a minute. No, you're okay. I'm going to grab, I have fresh bay leaves in my freezer. And I'm going to tie, there we go, back again. Bay leaf, you could use a dry one. I have ones that from the garden that are fresh. And I'm going to take a piece of string, kitchen twine, not just any old twine. And I'm going to make what they call a bouquet garni with it. And I'm going to wrap that around, tie it up, and that will add extra flavor to it. You could just chop up cilantro stems, those will disintegrate. The parsley stems tend to be a little tough. And I'm also going to get my mushrooms ready. And the mushroom stems tend, on the dried ones in particular, but shiitake mushrooms in general, tend to be very tough. So I'll cut those off. And I'm going to cut these into little pieces. Can you hear my onions sizzling? And those are perfect